Welcome to the Moral Compass Podcast. I'm Mito. Thank you for listening. So today on the podcast, I'm going to talk about consciousness. What it is, kind of what it means to me, and what I kind of believe it is. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Ky Dickens, who developed the Telepathy Tapes podcast. It's an audio podcast only. I highly recommend if you have not heard of it. It's crazy cool. It's about these kind of nonverbal autistic kids who have telepathy. I mean, literally can read people's minds. It's pretty crazy, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few. And at the very end, I'm gonna go into Grok, which is AI on X, Elon's X, and gonna type it into the search bar, latest news at the Whitehouse, and see what comes up. And I've done it before, and it actually is pretty good information. So what is consciousness, right? Like, I don't even know where to start on that one, or where to begin. What would I even call consciousness? I mean, I guess first thing, consciousness is, it's kind of a thing we cannot measure, and it's something that I don't know, or observe or measure or see or feel or touch, but we know it's something that is there. We know consciousness exists. It's in kind of society as what consciousness is, and what it is. It's our being, who we are, our soul could be considered our consciousness. It's what makes us individuals as humans. That is, I mean, you know this already. But what I believe consciousness is a kind of gift from above, from God, if you're religious, or from the universe if you're not. But it's a gift that's given to physical life forms, and perhaps non-physical. I mean, I don't know anything about that, but except for what I've read. But I'm just going to talk about the physical, and it is who we are. What makes you different from everyone else, and that would be your consciousness. And whether you're born with it or whether it comes to be somehow through learning, I don't think there's really any studies that definitively tell you what consciousness is. So is it even anything? I mean, for all we know, consciousness could be, I don't know, one big consciousness, and we're just little sections of it. But to me, it's a soul. It's who we are. It's kind of gives us our reason to be here. When you are alone with your thoughts and you aren't speaking verbally and there's nobody else around and you're thinking to yourself, that would be your consciousness. An easy way to put it. and it's so hard to describe what it is, but uh, I'm gonna play some. If you don't know who Ky Dickens is, who I mentioned just a minute ago at the beginning, she is a documentarian and researcher, and she found out about these kids who were telepathic. And I think that will explain consciousness a lot, is telepathy tapes. It will help you or help us understand what this is and what it means. And anyway, she was on Joe Rogan, I don't know, a few days ago or so. And I listened to the episode, and it's really good. And I recommend it. And there's a lot of good quotes, a lot of good sayings, and a lot of interesting things regarding consciousness and being and telepathy and um, development, all kinds of different things. It's pretty cool. And so I'll start off with a clip. Um, let's see, I have 3 set up. Let me check which one this first one is. Um, so I guess this first one is from about starts about 6 minutes and 45 seconds in, and they talk about consciousness a little bit. So here we go. I'm gonna play it now, and I apologize on the last episode. My volume on playing the clip last time was really low. In my headphones, it's loud, so I'm not sure what that issue is. So hopefully I got it fixed this time. So anyway, here is that clip, and then I'll after it's over, I'll talk about it.
I think that's changing, actually.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we look at in the telepathy tapes in episode 6, which we call our science episode, is this idea of materialism, which I'm sure you've heard of. This idea that, at least for the past few hundred years, that the reigning philosophy around how we interpret the world is only true if we can measure it and observe it, right? And that makes you seem foolish if you believe in something that can't be measured or observed, like a psi phenomenon like telepathy or precognition or dreams, being able to communicate with someone, or any of that stuff would be thrown out as being silly. And I think there's been a massive effort to make that true, right? That if you believe this or you're a scientist and you want to publish this, we're going to dismiss you or ridicule you just for even daring to ask that question. Research about this type of stuff has been dismissed because it's materialist, scientists who've for a long time run the journals.
Sure.
But there is something interesting here, which is that consciousness, we don't know where it comes from, And so what, the brilliant scientist Dean Radin talks about in the telepathy tapes is that if you think of materialism as a pyramid, right, and the base of the pyramid and all the things that have built up our world, which are biology and physics and chemistry and all those things, those have rules and properties, and we shouldn't throw those out. Those are pretty much true. But currently at the top of the pyramid is consciousness, and we can't explain where that comes from and why it's there. But if you just take consciousness from the top and put it on the bottom, so that consciousness is the basis of all reality, right? That consciousness is fundamental. That everything is the product of our thoughts first. Then we can account for all this stuff. Then we can account for precognition or telepathy. And it's not that big of a change. It's just flipping kind of the order of the pyramid. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And so there's been a lot of scientists who have looked into near-death experience research, who've looked into the research around telepathy, who've looked into the research around precognition, and said, we can't dismiss this. This is happening. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence here. There's a lot of things that add up. So we're going to start the Academy of Post-Materialist Sciences.
So, yeah, she makes a really good point there as far as consciousness goes and how it's being studied. And that's why we don't know a lot about it, because it's been considered a pseudoscience for so long. It's been considered, along the lines of UFOs or of ancient history or ancient aliens, or, things where, you were kind of an outcast if you looked into it. So there's not a lot of information out there. At least there hasn't been. There is more now. Everything's gone mainstream. It seems all this stuff that used to be, kind of, you know, where the crazy, where you used to people used to think you're crazy if you believed in certain things or about certain things. And now the script is kind of flipped, and now this stuff is starting to become mainstream. So we are going to start learning a lot more, and especially with the advent of AI, which is a whole other subject to get into. But we will learn a lot more about consciousness and what it is, and hopefully kind of get at least some kind of answers. There are people out there who can see auras around people. They can see colors, uh, surrounding your bodies, kind of like halos or something, where it's like if your color is pink or orange or yellow or whatever color it is, or green or orange. It determines the mood you're in, or it can mean what mood you're in, or even what kind of person you are, if you're a good or a bad person, if you do have good morals or if not. Um, and so maybe a lot of people are scared of looking into it. And with these telepathy tapes, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are, who are pushing against it. And Joe mentions on that episode that, there will be a lot of pushback against it because people don't want their minds read. And they go into how, well, if you don't want your mind read, what's on your mind? Like you're thinking something wrong. And Joe kind of made a point where, no, I mean, yeah, that could be it, but it also could be the idea of just reading minds and how it's kind of invasive and intrusive. Um, for me, I'm an open book. I would be more than happy to have my mind read. I'm not worried about that, and I'm okay with the study of this topic. It's really kind of fascinating. These kids, like cannot speak, but they can read minds. I mean, there are tests that are done on this that have been proven where they'll put a color or a crayon or a drawing, and these kids won't see these things, but they will be able to say them instantly or even know what they are before the picture's even drawn or the color is even grabbed, which is really, really kind of crazy if you think about it. I mean, and they're autistic kids. If you ever seen the movie Rain Man, that kind of with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, that really kind of explains a lot about these autistic kids. And some of them, they have these. Uh, it's a certain type of autism where they're just really smart at one particular thing. But on the telepathy tapes, they talk about how there are some kids who know languages and they've never even been around, um, or even seen the languages before, yet they can speak and study of them. Just like this kind of autism where, you know, people will know calculus, even though they've never seen a book or been taught anything about this math at all. Or, or musicians kids who can play the piano just by sitting down and just start playing magically. And it's I don't know if it's any like kind of the air or something where they just pick up this skill, or if they learn it somehow through telepathy, like maybe pick up the skill from somehow telepathically. Because this is just the beginning of this whole telepathy thing. telepathy tapes. She's making a documentary right now, Ky Dickens, and she's hoping it'll be out in about a year or so, or maybe. She said at the beginning of next year she hopes that she'll be done shooting. Um, so we'll see what comes of it, because this is I think it's going to change a lot about the world when this more of this comes out. I think it's already changed it some. A lot of people have talked about it, and it's just fascinating how telepathy, is becoming a mainstream subject. And they go into the topic of near-death experiences too, which I'd like to talk about more in the future. I've never had one, but um, I have been near death before, but never had a near death experience, where I've left my body in that way. I have had, I don't know what you call it, lucid dreaming or something, where I floated above my body before, which is really crazy. This happened to me several times where I'd lay down in bed, and once I'm falling asleep, there I am floating above my body, looking down at myself, and I would freak out, thinking, "How am I breathing? I'm here, and my body's there. How am I breathing right now?" And then I'd wake myself up because I would freak out about that, about breathing, and it happened to me more than once. Um, uh, so that's yeah, it's kind of crazy. But that happened to me, I think, 3 times total in my life. And then they go in and talk about energy on this episode. So I'm gonna play that clip next. Let's see. I think I have it queued up here. So here we go. And then I'll discuss energy, and then finally we'll discuss skeptics at the end. Um, as the last clip I'll play. But here is the clip on energy right now.
You know energy, right? You did martial arts and stuff. So you understand, like, if someone's energy, how it can impact you. And I think that, like, most of us have some sense of, like, you walk into a room and someone just, like, ugh, they're killing you. Or, like, if you're really, I think energy is a real thing.
Sure.
But I think as far as, like, these gifts go or whatever, like telepathy, we've all had that experience where someone's like, "Oh, I just knew the second they died. Like I felt it. Like I fell to the ground in my apartment, and I have no idea." And then I got the phone call, or my aunt came to me in a dream last night and said, "I love you, and I'm always here," and whatever. And then like the next day they get the phone call, their aunt died, and there's so many stories like that we hear just in everyday life, right?
Sure.
So again, like it's just if we sat back and really thought about this isn't wild. This is part of the human experience.
Right.
When it comes to your internet service, speed and
An ad just popped up. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's really weird to look at it in reverse, though, for me.
They're just the greats. Wild. This is part of the human experience.
Right.
And the non-speakers are just the great guides, yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird to look at it in reverse, though, for me, because, like I said, I did think it was an emerging aspect, but now I think it's probably not. It's probably something that's been buried by our technology or our progress.
Yeah.
What we think is progress. It's easier to communicate with people with noises and saying things, but we're probably missing this thing that used to be a part of us, and it comes in these little blips, little weird, waves, especially heightened anxiety or heightened, anytime you're stimulated in some sort of a way, which makes sense why with psychedelic drugs, which dissolves the ego, you would have more of those.
Right.
This is...
Right.
So have you tried to expand your ability?
So they're talking about energy and how its role is on consciousness there. And Joe was talking about psychedelics also, which is another topic I plan on getting into in the future. And he asked her if she's expanded her role. I think he was asking her if she's ever tried to telepathy herself and all that. And she says she's tried, and I guess she has had some kind of things happen to her. But as far as the energy goes and how there's some kind of, I think I was trying to allude to that earlier, is that there's something in the air or on the planet or in the universe or something out there that allows for consciousness to exist. And then the consciousness can grab kind of these other things, like intelligences or things. And it's so hard to explain it, really. And they were also discussing how, consciousness can be in plants, it's in animals. I mean, it's in everything that's living. And one interesting thing on that show is they discuss these wolves and how wolves communicate. Nobody knows how, but they communicate. They decide which wolf in a pack is going to do which job. And they have not figured out how this works. Like one would be, waiting as the other will be chasing down the animal, and the other one will be on its flank. And they do not know how, people who study wolves don't know how these wolves decide on which wolf does what job. And they do know that there's some kind of communication going on between them all to make these decisions. And because of the subject of the episode or of the show, it led, kind of makes you think that wolves are telepathic. And then it kind of got me thinking that, I wonder if all animals are telepathic, because the reason is these telepathic kids are disconnected and nonverbal. So they cannot talk. They cannot speak. But yet they are all 100% there. Like, they have their minds, but they just cannot verbally, cannot auditorily say anything. And so I wonder if, there's some kind of communication between animals and plants and all that. Because, a lot of times I have 3 cats, and I'll see them just sitting there, kind of just all of them sitting there. And then all of a sudden they'll all get up at once, and they'll all join each other and go and, kind of walk to the door. But it seems like they want to be let out, or they'll walk up to me or my wife, and, kind of, and it seems to me like they communicated this with each other and agreed on something, and then somehow, and then they're there, or even 2 of them will, do the same thing. And it's crazy. And God, telepathy is such an interesting subject now. It's real fascinating, and I know there's just, there's going to be a lot more about it in the future. It's coming. I mean, everything's kind of being opened up right now. All right, and this last clip I got from Joe Rogan is about the skeptics and, the other side of that argument. So here we go.
And why to test it with instruments is for skeptics.
Right.
So once we've all agreed that this is an actual phenomenon, this is a real thing, whatever this is real.
Yeah.
The best way to test it is really with consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think about this a lot, like the skeptics, because again, like I've said, the families and teachers, the people are like, let's just move the science forward. We know what's happening. We know now. We need to know how, not why, right? And I've thought about like how skeptics can hold back that research and science, and like how much time do you give to them versus like just move on without them. And I was thinking about in the term of like in the olden days, right? Like if a Voyager was going out to discover new worlds, and people are like, you can't go find something that we're at this flat and you're going to fall off of it, or out there is the blah, 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 blah. And someone comes back and is like, discovered Iceland, let's say. And it's like, oh my gosh, you would not believe it. Like geysers are coming out of the earth, and there's black stone beaches and black sand beaches and northern light, whatever they're explaining. And they come back, and some people will be like, wow, let's go explore it and find out more and, draw things of it. And some people might be like, don't go with them, don't go, don't even try it. They're making it up. It's not real. That couldn't exist. You're going to die if you go. And I feel like the scientists or the skeptics now are those people on the shore being like, there is no Iceland. Don't go look. And you're gonna blah blah blah. And it's like it's such a weight to forwarding thought and research, and this is such a cool, exciting new frontier.
Yes.
And
well, the thing is like there's levels of skeptics. There's people that are just objective, and they're like, I need data. I need to see something. And then there's people that it doesn't matter what they see, they're never going to believe.
Right.
And those are the weird ones. Because there's a lot of people out there that are
Are you really the last?
So it seems like, they make a really good point there. At the end there, it started playing another ad. I guess I should go ad-free on YouTube if I'm going to be doing this often. But I apologize for that. But yeah, it does seem that these skeptics, there are just these ones that just will not budge. It doesn't matter what evidence you present them, they will not listen to the argument. They will just say, nope, it's not real, and I don't know why that is, but I think that part of society where there's people out there who just cannot move, who are just stuck. And there's a lot of them out there, and they just not open to new ideas, or not open to open-minded to two sides of an argument. I think that's so bad for society. You can look at it at skepticism, or you can even look at it at through any system, through the criminal justice system, or through the financial system, or through religion. If you're not going to be open-minded about something and just be stuck on something, that's how wars start. That's how people disagree, because you got two people, or two groups, or two countries, or two society, whatever it is. You get one against another, and neither of them will budge. And they'll just disagree. It's gonna turn into a battle, a heated battle, and there is no winner in that way. And as far as skeptics go, just like I think that's why things are becoming more open, because I think there are kind of that way of thinking is kind of going away slowly. And so more and more people are becoming open-minded and listening to kind of both sides of the argument. At least I hope that's what's going on. And that really, it's kind of cool that UFOs and everything are kind of becoming a little more mainstream, and topics like this, like telepathy, or like this ancient history, and how there might be more than we know regarding history, like Graham Hancock, or or any of these historians, have said that people haven't believed. But then there's the other side, the archaeologists, or the academia, I guess is what they call it, who have kept to the same story for so long that they cannot budge and cannot open that up anymore about it, or or in the case of the Egyptians and the pyramids, they don't want to admit that maybe it wasn't them who built the pyramids, that type of thing. And it, and who knows? Nobody knows. I know I sure don't know. I don't have any answers. And I will tell you that over and over again. I have no answers. And I don't think any of us really do have answers. We want to believe we know. We believe science or math, brings answers to us. But even then, there's limits. And I really don't think we know anything. We just want to believe that we know things. Sadhguru, who's this Indian guru, very famous, so you may have heard of him, said something along the lines of, we know absolutely nothing, because if you look at anything, whether it's an idea or whether it's a physical thing, we do not know it down to the smallest element. I mean, we do not know an atom, each atomic element or each atomic part of a structure. And so how can we think we know something when we don't know this? And that's a really good point. So yeah. So so that will be I guess first part of this show. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Grok, which is AI on X, formerly Twitter, whatever. I'll just call it X because, it's X now. And ask, and Grok is AI. So Grok is just like Chat GPT or DeepSeek or whatever. It's the same thing, but it's on X, and I like it. That's where I got the cover art for my podcast. I asked Grok to make me pyramids in Giza with the words, and anyway, it did it, and so the cover art was made by Grok. So anyway, I'm gonna ask it. I'm typing right now. What is the latest update from the White House? Let's see what it says. So it says there's okay, so it's kind of a, let's see. So let me read what it says. It says, based on the available information from posts on X, the latest update from the White House as of today, Sunday, March 2nd, 2025 at 7:53 p.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time, appears to be from February 28th, 2025, 17:02 Mountain Standard Time. In this update, the White House highlighted a historic week with the following key points summarized from a mega minute by the press secretary. 1. President Trump prioritized America first in dealings with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. 2. Jobs and investments are reportedly booming. 3. Over 50,000 illegal immigrants have been deported. 4. Cartel criminals have been extradited. 5. Medical price transparency initiatives have been advanced. And 6. The press corps is described as representing the people. And that's what it says. And then it goes on to say, this information comes from posts found on X and reflects the White House's reported activities up to February 20th, 2025. However, since today is March 2nd and no updates from March 1st or 2nd are available in the provided data, this is the most recent update based on the sources. Keep in mind that X posts are not conclusive evidence and should be treated as current sentiment rather than verified fact without further official confirmation. For the most accurate and up-to-date information, I recommend checking official White House sources like whitehouse.gov, as my data might not reflect real-time developments beyond February 28th, 2025. So there we have it. That's the latest update from the White House. It's a couple days old because they haven't updated in a couple days on X, according to Grok. And it, there's so much going on in the world and so much going on even at the White House. Like I talked about Zelensky and Trump on my first episode yesterday. I think it was yesterday when I recorded and posted, or the other day. But anyway, which was crazy and still is, and they're still talking about it on the news. And I think I'll leave it there. So anyway, thank you. This is my second episode. And I'm going to keep on going. There's going to be a lot more than just this. So, if you are on X, you can find me at Absurd World Order, ABSURDWORLDORDER, Absurd World Order at gmail.com is my email for contact. So you can use those. I will only use X right now as far as social media. And but you can email me at that Gmail address if you do not have X, and contact me that way if you have any questions, comments, complaints, suggestion, whatever, anything. I'm up for it. I'm a brand new podcast. I don't have a lot of listeners right now, so let's do this together. And the reason why I brought up the telepathy tapes is in the first episode, I brought up how I want to kind of bring in a family of people kind of like-minded, because I do think we are all connected telepathically somehow. We may not be able to telepathically talk to each other, but I believe there is some kind of mental connection between us. And so whoever listens to this and enjoys it, know that we have some kind of connection, and I am on your side, and I hope you're on mine. So thank you for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I plan on doing a lot more shows this week, this month, this year, whatever. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going, as many as I can possibly do. So I'm going to just press play on this music, whatever's playing here. I don't even know if it's the same stuff from the beginning or not. I don't think it is. As kind of an outro music. I get all my music so far from Breaking Copyright on YouTube. And the name of this one is Memories by Sephiro's dubstep piano music. It's all free to use, no copyright. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and try to be kind. Try to be open-minded. And just be good. And the world will be a better place.